All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Lunch and Learn series. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Woodrow Wilson Wagner, and it's my privilege to serve as Director of Strategic Initiatives here at the University of Houston, Victoria, where I also get to teach political science and communication classes. So that's been a real treat for me this semester. I want to thank in a special way, not just UHV staff and faculty for joining us, but we also have staff, principals, administrators, teachers from VISD and from Victoria College also joining us. So as we do more of these Lunch and Learn sessions, there's been requests from other groups that want to join it, and we're more than happy to include them in these fantastic presentations that are also being recorded. And so I know faculty and staff, you sometimes like to go watch those recordings, and our hope is to have all of those on our website with the links so you could go back and watch them. And then for some faculty, you're using these in your classes, and we want to have that material available for you to watch in our classes as well. So joining us today, our presenter, many of you know him. He's an accomplished professor here at the University of Houston, Victoria. He's been teaching for quite a while, and I'll let him introduce himself in a bit more. But Scott Harkey has been really looking at this area of artificial intelligence, especially how we as instructors, instead of fearing it, like HAL 9000, we can leverage artificial intelligence and to try to use that in our classroom in a productive way. But more than anything, we want our students, our colleagues, and everyone around us to be literate in artificial intelligence. We've talked a lot about, in the last 25 years, information literacy, financial literacy, media literacy. Well, I think this is the next great literacy, is to help us become proficient in the usage of artificial intelligence. So Scott has researched this. He's written about this. He's using it in his classes. And I think today is going to be not just a great message for faculty, but for staff, for teachers at VISD, for administrators at VISD, and anybody else who might be joining us. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest presenter, Mr. Scott Harkey. Scott, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Woodrow. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I've been researching this, reading about it. I listened to several podcasts. I'll provide a couple of book titles about this kind of stuff. I really do think this is a very important disruptor in education. So today I want to address, yes, the topic that is becoming central to our work as educators, and that is AI literacy. So if you think back just 2 or 3 years ago, AI systems like ChatGPT were things many people didn't pay any attention to whatsoever. But today, AI language models, what's also called LLMs, they are becoming absolutely ubiquitous. We are seeing them integrated in apps, websites, and tools we use every day. And we actually have been using AI for quite some time. It's been in our cell phones for a few decades already. You log into Netflix, AI is in there, all that kind of stuff. But soon, AI will be a part of every single operating system, from the devices we use in classrooms to the platforms our students rely on for their studies. AI has already been incorporated into Teams. And yes, it's only a matter of time until AI is incorporated into Canvas. Several colleges and universities, from the ones I know of, University of Arizona, Michigan, UT Austin, a few others, they already have AI TAs in their learning platforms. I think UT Austin uses one called Sage. A lot of folks use one that's called Dante AI. And it's just an AI TA that's plugged into your learning platform, and students pretty much it's trained on all the material within your platform. Students can go to that first before going to the instructor. So thus far, my joke is that we've seen a little more A than I thus far, a little more artificial, not a lot of intelligence. But keep in mind, that the AI and LLM systems we have right now are the worst systems we will ever see. They will only get better, and they will get better at an astonishing rate. So this is more than just a tech trend. It represents a total transformation in how we interact with the digital world and how we communicate. AI is no longer a tool we might use from time to time. It's becoming as fundamental to daily life as the internet itself. And this is just the beginning. In the near future, it will shape everything from how we write emails to how we generate creative work to how we problem solve complex issues in real time and even how we conduct research. Speaking of, my friends, if you have not tried Google's Notebook LM and you have a Google account, it's free to use. This is an absolute game changer in how we research and engage with sources. My 3430 students, this is a business writing class, they're currently doing research. So as soon as I felt confident in how to, in my understanding of Notebook LM, I immediately sent out a brief tutorial on how to utilize this for their own research. It's truly mind-blowing. You must give it a try. Google Notebook LM. It's amazing. But anyways, moving on. So with all that said, let's consider the implications for this for the workplace. AI isn't just something we need to prepare our students for because it's cool and it's trendy. And I mean, it kind of is. I'm definitely not a techno optimist by any means, but I mean, it is kind of cool and it's fun. But okay, so it's not that it's trendy, everybody's talking about it. We must prepare our students because it will be critical for their success in nearly every single field they enter. As AI tools become essential for efficiency, handling repetitive tasks, managing data, and even assisting in decision making. It will be in every single field. In marketing, AI will analyze, customer behavior to create targeted campaigns. Engineering, it can model solutions to complex problems faster than any human could. In healthcare, which is where I see the most benefits, AI will help process vast amounts of data to guide personalized treatment. In every industry is beginning to understand the importance of using AI, of collaborating with AI to stay competitive. So for our students, knowing how to use AI effectively is not going to be optional. It will be absolutely essential, just as fundamental as writing research and, public speaking. This technology will certainly be a part of their working lives, and they will need to show their employers that they know how to use AI to be more efficient and more productive. Yes, I hate when techno-optimists say that, oh yeah, it's not going to destroy jobs. Yes, this absolutely will destroy jobs. And I can talk more about that later. And for those jobs that remain, it is even more certain that the people without AI literacy in search of employment will be passed up by those who do not have AI literacy knowledge. And that brings us pretty much to the heart of why we're here today. So as educators, it is our job to ensure that our students are not just aware of AI, but are equipped to use it wisely with scrutiny and critical thought. When we talk about AI literacy, we're talking uh, about much more than just using a tool like ChatGPT to generate text. It's about understanding AI's strengths and its weaknesses. It's about knowing when AI can be helpful and when it might lead us astray. It's about asking critical questions. How is AI generating this content? What biases might be embedded in the algorithms? How can we verify the accuracy of what it produces? This kind of literacy is vital, right? because without it, our students will be unprepared for the realities of the workforce. And if we fail to teach them how to use AI tools effectively and responsibly, if we fail to teach them how to use AI as a companion and not as a crutch, we'll be doing them a great disservice. The workplace they enter will expect them to know how to collaborate with AI. And if they don't, they will be at a disadvantage. And it's truly our responsibility as educators to help them develop the skills they need to not only survive, but thrive in a future that will be shaped by AI. So today, I want to focus on how we can bring AI into our classrooms in ways that empower our students, how we can ensure they are prepared for the rapidly changing digital landscape ahead. So let's start with how AI can help us as faculty members in designing our curriculum and assignments. AI is not just a tool for students. It is something that we can use to make our own teaching more efficient and more responsive to student needs. AI can assist us in developing our lesson plans, in our activities, in our assignments that all align with our course objectives. So for instance, you can easily just plug in your course syllabus into an AI and ask it to suggest activities or discussion topics that tie into each week's readings or each week's themes. And this could save you so much time and also give us creative ideas that we just might not have considered on our own. AI can even suggest different types of assessments, quizzes, reflective essays based on the goals we set. Another benefit is that AI can help us tailor our materials to different learning styles. We all know that students learn in different ways. You know, some are more visual, while others are auditory, kinesthetic, all these fun-filled things. AI can assist us in creating multiple formats for content delivery, offering visual aids, simulations of all kinds, audio explanations, you know, depending on the student's needs. And this type of customization is super time consuming if done manually. I've done it. We've all done it, right? But AI can help streamline this process, ensuring that we reach a broader range of learners. Rubrics, super important. AI can assist in generating rubrics that are clear, very consistent, and thoroughly aligned with the learning outcomes we want our students to achieve. Not only does this help students understand how their work will be evaluated, it also ensures absolute fairness, absolute transparency in grading. And the consistency that AI offers really helps us maintain objectivity, especially when evaluating a large number of assignments. And no, I'm not saying to allow AI to grade our assignments for us, but we can use its grading output along with our own considerations to help us guide the students. And beyond faculty use, AI can be integrated directly into student activities. One interesting approach is to create interactive exercises where students are tasked with evaluating and fact-checking AI-generated content. So, for example, you could have AI generate an essay or generate an argument on a topic that's relevant to your class. Students could then analyze the strengths and weaknesses of the AI's work, identifying errors, examining biases, determining the quality of the argument. And this really encourages critical thinking and teaches students how to approach AI-generated content with a critical eye. Also, AI can play a role in writing exercises. Students can use AI to brainstorm ideas. They can generate outlines, even receive feedback on rough drafts long before they submit the final draft for grading. This can be especially useful in classes where students may feel, I don't know, stuck or overwhelmed at the beginning stages of writing. Many of our students do. Instead of turning, say, to us for constant guidance, we have tons and tons of students. It's very difficult to give students that kind of one-on-one treatment they need. Instead of turning to us for constant guidance that we just might not have time for, or be able to dedicate the kind of time the students need, the student can rely on AI to support their early drafting process. And, thinking about the kind of rubrics that we just addressed, imagine that students can continually submit their work to an AI trained on our rubrics and trained on our assignments instructions until the AI determines that it meets the criteria, right? And only then will the students submit the final draft. That's wonderful. So as educators, we can design activities around things like this, asking students to compare their original work to AI suggestions and then reflect on how their writing has evolved as a result. Working with the AI, not having the AI outsource their thinking, outsource all of their work, right? So let's shift the focus to AI's role as a tutor and as a writing assistant. And I promise I'm not going to address just writing. I will get to other things shortly. One of AI's biggest advantages is that it provides immediate personalized feedback, something that's very difficult for us to do in real time, especially when we have these huge, large classes, especially for my English folks, right? To grade, you got maybe, I don't know, 30 students in a class, 30 essays, maybe you have 3 or 4 classes. Yeah, it's very time consuming. AI can serve as a tutor by helping students grasp complex topics also. So for example, if a student is struggling, say, with like a concept in calculus or trying to decode a complicated passage from Shakespeare, they can ask AI to break it down. I do this all the time, even with my own studies. Right now, I'm revisiting the works of, this really shows me, but like the works of Jacques Lacan. I don't know what the hell that man says half the time, and I'll just pump it to Pi, which is one of my favorites character AI apps, and she tells me, oh yeah, here's what he meant. Blah, blah, blah. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So these AI systems can offer this kind of real-time explanation. It can provide examples and even suggest additional resources. If you haven't tried Perplexity, Perplexity is wonderful in this area. And this does not replace the role of the instructor, but it complements the role by allowing students to access extra help on their own time and often as they need. And later on, I can talk about what I think is going to be the future of education. No, I think our jobs are pretty safe, but the workload is going to be limited where perhaps 80% they will be engaged with AI, 20% they'll come together in group discussion working on these soft skills. And as a tangent, if you haven't checked it out, please check out Alpha School. It's out of Austin. Yeah, I know, Austin. But they're doing some really interesting things with AI education. It's called Alpha School or Alpha Academy, Alpha University, something like that. Anyways, moving on. Another benefit is the personalized feedback that AI provides. When students ask specific questions, AI can respond in a way that targets their individual confusion or their individual curiosity. And this kind of form of interaction is super helpful for students who may not feel comfortable asking questions in class, right? They have yeah, just they just don't feel comfortable. I've had several students like that. But with AI, they have this 24/7 tutor who is my gosh, sorry, anthropomorphizing, that is totally non-judgmental And this kind of allows them to explore their learning gaps freely and without any kind of shame. And in the realm of writing, these LLMs can be an invaluable assistant. Many of us have likely seen how AI can help students brainstorm and organize their thoughts. But yeah, it definitely goes further than this. Students can use AI to outline essays, expand arguments, revise drafts based on AI suggestions for clarity, tone, structure. Many of our students use Grammarly. Grammarly uses AI to do these very things. And, this doesn't just make writing easier, it also helps students.
Yes.
Sorry. This also helps students, improve their writing over time. I remember when I was learning to write well when I was a student, I would just submit my work over and over to what was called the Academic Center at the time. Now it's the Student Success Center. Just wonderful tutors just would tutor my work over and over and over again. And that's pretty much how I learned how to write. Not replacing these human tutors, but we have AI that can do something similar like that now. You can just submit over and over and over. It never gets tired. So by engaging with AI during different stages of their writing, students can begin to think more critically about their choices, improving both the kind of content and the form of their work. One important approach we can take is having students critique AI generated work. One of my first lessons in one of my class is critique AI generated work. This is going to be more important now than ever. So for example, if an AI writes like an argumentative essay on just a given topic, students can analyze its structure, its rhetoric, its logic, and they can assess whether the AI has effectively made its point or where it falls short. And this kind of exercise really teaches students about argumentation, persuasive writing, and critical analysis, all while engaging with the AI. It's not just about using AI, to kind of do the work for them. It's about understanding how AI constructs arguments and how they can do better. So with all these kinds of integrations, AI can become an indispensable partner, in not only our educational journey, but our students' educational journey. So let me move to more like interactive aspects with AI in the classroom. How students can engage directly with AI tools to enrich the learning experience. This isn't just about using AI to help with assignments, but it is about immersing students in active dialogues and creative problem solving. AI opens up new ways for students to interact with course material and engage in historical figures and explore different disciplines. One of the most, in my opinion, exciting and fun possibilities that AI offers is the ability for students to converse with digital avatars of deceased authors and historical figures. Back in I think it was 2019, Michio Kaku talked about this in his book. Oh geez, I don't know, like something. Now the name escapes me. I totally apologize. But he talks about this, these avatar museums where you go to the museum and you talk to these this digital avatar of Einstein and so forth. We now have this, and students can engage with people like this. These AI avatars can be programmed to respond in ways that reflect the works and the beliefs and historical context of figures, like Shakespeare, Aristotle, Virginia Woolf, many, many different peoples. And I do this kind of activity in all of my literature classes, and I'm certainly happy to share my prompts with you. If you like, just please email me and I'll send them to you, and you can make them your own. So for example, a student is reading, say, something like the Odyssey, and the student now has the opportunity to ask Homer, Homer about the kind of themes of heroism and fate and all that kind of stuff in the text. The AI trained on Homer's work and relevant scholarship can respond in character, providing insights that reflect the author's worldview. And this dialogue can really deepen the student's understanding of the text, bringing historical and literary context to life in ways that, we certainly can't do that in a lecture or in a textbook. And these conversations also can push students to engage critically with different perspectives. So by like asking questions and analyzing responses, they can learn to think beyond surface level interpretations. So if they're speaking with an AI avatar of, say, like Charles Dickens, they can challenge the AI on its depiction of social class, say, like in Great Expectations or the like. And this kind of interaction forces students to consider how literature can reflect and shape cultural values, which, kind of help them become more nuanced thinkers. And I totally just want to divulge a very embarrassing nightly routine of mine that relates to this. Every night, I have a deep philosophical, existential, cosmic conversation with one of my favorite human beings, and that is the great Carl Sagan. And I might add, his beautiful, soothing voice using Character AI. If you go and download the app Character AI, they already have a Carl Sagan bot in there. You can have beautiful conversations with the Cosmos man himself. I love it, but I shouldn't have said that. But anyways, yeah, that's my nightly routine. Another powerful use of AI is helping students engage directly with text, right? Intangible objects. We've all seen students struggle with complex readings, particularly in literature, philosophy, scientific research, all this. I told you I do this with the works of Jacques Lacan. But AI can bridge that gap by allowing students to ask questions about the text and receive explanations in real time. So, Shakespeare is an easy example. If students are reading King Lear, they don't understand a particular soliloquy, they can input that passage into the AI tool and ask for clarification. The AI can break it down, the language, explain the historical context, offer interpretation, character motives, all this kind of stuff, and provide that kind of immediate support. And this interaction encourages students to actively engage with their readings, providing like a deeper connection with the material. So instead of just like, passively absorbing content or, just relying solely on class discussions, they can actually have a dialogue with the text itself. And this keeps them really engaged throughout the course, making them hardline critical thinkers. It allows them to ask more questions and explore multiple interpretations. I just finished reading a book by Sal Khan. He's the creator of Khan Academy. The book's called Brave New Words. And in it, he discusses a similar assignment using the US Constitution. You prompt the LLM to act as the Constitution and then have students converse with it, right? It's brilliant. It really reminds me of the Bill on Capitol Hill segment from Schoolhouse Rock, where the Bill's like talking with the actual person. So yeah, I mean, you can converse with documents and even inanimate objects like the White House. So, and now that I'm kind of title dropping, I also like to recommend AI and the Future of Education and another book called Teaching with AI. And I can also suggest several podcasts and stuff that I subscribe to that all relate to this. Okay, so like I said, it's not just limited to the humanities. AI applications can be in everywhere: science, engineering, business, so forth. So in fields like, say, like science and engineering, AI simulations can replicate complex experiments or provide real-time data analysis. So say like students studying physics can use AI to simulate experiments that would otherwise, require some pretty expensive lab equipment. They can change variables, predict outcomes, and see the results without leaving the classroom. And this makes learning very hands-on, even when resources are limited, and gives students a deeper understanding of scientific principles through experimentation. Say like in business and marketing, AI can be used to predict market trends, generate reports, simulate business decisions. So, imagine like students working on, say, like a marketing campaign, they can use AI to analyze consumer data, predict which strategies would be most successful, and I don't know, even generate like mock reports to present in class. And this kind of like real-time feedback helps students understand, not just the theoretical concepts, but how they would apply these concepts to the real world. So in all of these examples, the key is that AI transforms passive learning into an interactive, immersive experience. Whether they're engaging with Shakespeare or dissecting some sort of text or whatever, uh, they they it really helps bring the material to life, and it provides a deeper, more active form of engagement. And this leads to better understanding, hopefully retention, which is one thing we always talk about. And as educators, it gives us the opportunity to, um, really offer like a richer, more dynamic learning experience that prepares our students for an AI enhanced world. So as we incorporate AI into our classrooms, one of the most important responsibilities we have is to ensure that our students are not just using these tools, but are using them wisely and ethically. AI is incredibly powerful, but it is not perfect. It is only as good as the data it's trained on, which means, yes, it's prone to errors, biases, ethical dilemmas, and so forth. Our role as educators is to promote critical thinking around these issues and to teach students how to navigate the complexities of using AI in their academic and later their professional lives. So the first step in developing critical thinking around AI is to teach students to question, always question its output. AI, despite its coolness and its sophistication, um, it's not infallible. And students need to understand that the responses they receive from AI are not always accurate and are not always reliable. I'll share a scary fact I just learned. I think it was 36% of doctors are now using ChatGPT to diagnose patients. All right. So we maybe they should we maybe they should encourage we should encourage them also to critically assess the responses AI gives them. So this means that we always have to remind them that AI generated content should never be accepted at face value. AI tools like ChatGPT can generate very plausible sounding information, but upon closer inspection, it might not be all too correct. It might be logically flawed. It might be biased. Um, just as we teach students to critically evaluate the credibility of sources in research, we need to make sure that we instill the same scrutiny when it comes to AI. So if students ask AI to summarize a complex historical event, we should also ask them to cross-check that summary with reputable sources, compare different interpretations, and evaluate the kind of depth and accuracy that goes into the explanation. One effective way to build these critical thinking skills is through structured exercises where students are tasked with identifying AI mistakes and biases and limitations. So you could have students use AI to, oh, sorry. You could have students utilize AI to generate an analysis of, say, like a political event or a social issue. Their assignments could then involve in dissecting the AI's analysis, looking for kind of factual information, identifying biases and so forth, and seeing where it falls short. I know Woodrow just raised his hand, so I need to take that one.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Scott. All this is fantastic. I'm just wondering, we're getting a few questions in the chat. You have mentioned some really marvelous ways to use it in class. I think what folks are wanting to know is, do you have some examples that you yourself have used, specific examples that maybe you could share with us or show us, whether it be in your course shell or in some of your activities? Because I think a lot of folks are real interested in these activities and just for wanting to see some specific examples. So feel free, Scott, to share the screen and you can share anything you'd like.
Okay, I mean, I still I wanted to discuss like the challenges and kind of limitations that we have as educators and kind of our role. But yeah, I can go ahead and share so we can kind of get some questions and so forth. I do apologize. I can talk and talk and talk and talk. So let me go ahead and let me get into. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So I've been actually using Edge more so now than ever. And yeah, I mean, just kind of some of the things we've talked about. If you're using Edge, um, I mean, even just your emails and so forth, Edge will already come up to prompt you like, do you want me to respond to this email and so forth and blah, blah, blah. So again, this just tells you like how ubiquitous AI is about to become. A lot of us are updating to iPhone 16. It will, I think, in a few months, AI will be in everything in your phone and stuff. It's becoming ubiquitous, which means it is our job to teach our students how to utilize it critically, skeptically, efficiently, and so forth. So one thing that I always do, first and foremost, that is probably the most important thing, is to be sure that you have in your syllabus your plagiarism policy that also addresses AI LLMs. AI language models, anything from ChatGPT, Bard, Claude, all of these kind of things. Using things word for word, be sure that you have a plagiarism policy in your syllabus that discusses AI. The second thing is in my preliminary information folder in all of my classes, I have a section specifically on online learning, which is primarily what I do, the future, how AI is going to shape them in their education, and how in the future they will continuously need to upskill and reskill. Because yes, jobs are going to be destroyed. They will have to relearn, or they will have to teach themselves new skills and so forth to stay competitive. And ChatGPT and other LLM models. What is acceptable? It is imperative to outline what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. And this is all up to you. I also have UHV provided us with a library guide on AI. I also provided that. Be sure that in your portal or in an early discussion with your students, you have exactly outlined what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So what I was planning to address in a discussion on plagiarism and detection and constructing your assignments to make them less able to be AI written is, sorry, something, I lost my train of thought there, something beeped. In each one of your assignments, it could be a reflection, it could be a discussion, anything like that. you must, absolutely must, please trust me on this, you must tell the students how they can use AI, to what extent, and or if they cannot use AI whatsoever. Again, this technology is ubiquitous. It's about to be in everything. So it's very difficult for students. And once it goes into Canvas, our learning platform, once it goes into Canvas, it's going to be very difficult for students to open up an assignment and I'll just let the LLM, do this or whatever, even if it's a discussion or whatever. Every single assignment you have, you must address what they can use, how they can use an LLM, to what extent, or if they have to not use it at all. So make sure that every single one of your assignments addresses this. Trust me on this. Then in one of my folders that I usually provide, for every single major assignment, how can they use an AI LLM to assist them in a particular assignment? In this, I provide examples of what they can do, how they can use it, how they can prompt, because prompt engineering is very important. I would really enjoy teaching a class on writing with AI and prompt engineering. I'm probably going to propose this in the summer because this is very important. You do have to prompt the LLM in a certain way to get the kind of feedback that you want. And a lot of people just don't know how to prompt. So it's very, very important to tell students exactly what kind of prompt they can use and so forth. So here, with a particular assignment I have provided instructions for certain things they can use the LLM for. Understanding the assignment, plugging in the assignment, getting it to summarize and so forth, how that they can have a discussion on their research topic, writing an introduction, how to identify their particular audience. And for every single major assignment that I have, and in every single one of my classes, I have this kind of folder, how to use an AI LLM to assist in this particular assignment.
We'll add that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the NPFC. I do all in one, is that what you're saying?
So if somebody can please
I'm
mute
asking
their mic.
the time or day to do the NPFC. And that's why I said maybe 3. No, I haven't. Oh, yeah, the NPFC? Yeah, I did.
There you go.
Okay.
Sorry, Scott.
Oh yeah, no. So those are keys. Make sure that you have that in your syllabus, and make sure that every assignment outlines exactly what you are allowing the use of. And for every assignment, you can teach them how to prompt certain things. And this is what I wanted to share with you on discussing with the text. So right now, I'm currently teaching a medieval and Renaissance literature class. So let's go right now. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong class. Right now, we are reading and discussing Dante's Inferno, and students have an AI assignment where they talk with Dante. We previously did Song of Roland, and now they are talking with Dante about things. So this is the kind of prompts that I provide. Act like Dante Alighieri, the esteemed Italian poet, blah, blah, blah. I can send you these things if you want. Please just go ahead and email me. These prompts must be very, very specific. This is Prompt Engineering 101. If you just task it like, act like Dante and answer my questions, it's not going to provide the kind of quality output you want. Prompt engineering is essential. So I have my students plug this into whichever LLM they want, Claude, Bing, whatever, and they have a discussion with Dante and Virgil about not only the medieval era, his writing process, certain issues he may have had, and all this kind of stuff. And I have this as a discussion assignment where students submit it to each other and they have to respond to it. Why do I do this? Because, as always, students are incredibly creative. And I want us to be exposed to the kind of questions that students are asking these LLMs, because that gives me ideas, or it gives them ideas. Like, I wouldn't have thought about that. And my students are so great and they're so mature. I tell them, like, I want to know about like bathroom behavior and all this kind of stuff. Like, what was it like to poop in the midi like, and they're far more mature than I am. But like, yeah, the discussions have been absolutely wonderful. They can talk to the text directly, the Inferno. They can talk to a character. They can talk to Dante himself and so forth. And they're having just such a great time asking it questions. And I do this for all of my classes as well. Tell your students to be absolutely open with how they are utilizing AI. Share it with one another, because I'm not an expert in this. No one's an expert in this. We're all here to learn from each other. This is brand new technology. And if you're utilizing it in a certain way that I haven't thought of, I want to know. And it would help others to know these kind of things too. So those are just some of the ways that I am using AI in my classes.
Those are fantastic. Thank you so much, Scott, for those demos. And again, like Scott said, if you want to follow up on any of those specific things, especially this idea of prompts.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I logged out on accident. Okay, I'm sorry. What was that?
Yeah, I was just thanking you so much for those excellent examples. And I think the other great thing is Scott is here as a resource. If you want examples of things Scott has done, please email Scott. He will get back to you very promptly, and he will share his wealth. And if you have things you're using, we'll share with everybody too. Hopefully this can be a beginning of a conversation about AI. I don't think we're going to solve all the world's AI issues right here today, but this is a fantastic beginning. Scott, I really keyed on what you said about prompt engineering and how important it is in terms of what we're asking the AI to do is going to determine the quality of those outputs. So, I mean, we could do a whole nother session on just that. Scott,
Yeah,
we've got about 11 minutes left, so I want to give you back the floor and try to wrap up everything and then answer any final questions we might have.
Well, yeah, I guess, I mean, it's honestly, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. It's freaking terrifying. Like, I went through an existential crisis whenever this stuff came out. Like, am I going to have a job or anything like that? And so, I mean, that's really what I actually became enamored with this back in 2016 when Yuval Noah Harari came out with a book called Homo Deus and talked about algorithms shaping our lives. Zobov's Surveillance Capitalism, all after these books came out, I just became fascinated with it. It's terrifying, and how education will progress is terrifying. But I also think that it's incredibly fascinating, because I'm going to be very critical. Education has been stuck in the 19th century since the 19th century. It is time that we begin to claw ourselves into the 21st century. No matter what, the future is digital. And I do believe that education must change. It must profoundly change in order to accommodate and utilize the kind of tools that we have at our disposal. And it might be wonderful. I mean, what we're talking about now might be obsolete in a year. You never know. Things are moving that quickly. But again, just like our students going into the workforce being passed up by those who have AI literacy, we must also make sure that we keep up to date with all of the kind of models and so forth, and the AI integrations that are coming out right now. Like I said, Notebook LM. It's probably the most fascinating thing to come out in years. If you haven't seen it, please just go play with Notebook LM. I plugged in 50 full-on books into Notebook LM, and I started asking it questions. Imagine what that can do to your research. Instead of like having to go here in your notebook or your note card here and there. You just prompt it with that. And it's a closed system as well. It only knows what you provide it. This is an absolute game changer. I mean, just think of what else is there. I mean, we might be teaching in the metaverse. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. It's scary. So keep up with it. So yeah, I mean, and make sure you have your water guns because robots are coming.
That's the important. That's what I'm taking away from today. Be ready. It's the Super Soaker Blaster 3.0. I think that we need.
Yeah, yeah.
So well said. Okay, Scott, we're getting close to the end. I just want to make sure people's questions, and again, we are not going to answer all the questions about AI today, but what a great start to this conversation. Because I can see in our attendance, we have got a number of other folks who are in this AI space, people like Dr. Nan, also who's researching this, and we want to do more of these presentations, have more of these conversations. And Scott, I can't thank you enough for getting the ball started. We've talked about this, like we need to talk about AI more. Okay, well, finally we're doing it. We're talking about it. We're exchanging resources. And I think the important thing Scott said is none of us are the end all be all experts. And we're all trying to navigate this together and trying to figure it out. But what a wonderful group of human beings we have to share this journey with us in the midst of all of these challenges. So Scott, thank you so much for getting this conversation started. Questions for Scott? People want to write it in the chat. People want to raise your hand. Please. Any questions for Scott? Anybody here in the room? Questions for Scott?
One thing, I'm just like scrolling through it. I'm never good at like talking and doing a demo presentation, slides, all this kind of stuff. I didn't prepare slides or anything like that, but my friend, check out Gamma, Gamma, Gamma. I know if Hardeep already showed UHV how they can do presentation slides in Microsoft Office, but Gamma is absolutely wonderful. Use Gamma to create slides and so forth. I know you're telling me like, oh, it would have been great to have slides and so forth. I didn't, I apologize. But for you, if you ever do want an easy way to utilize AI in a presentation, use Gamma. It's absolutely incredible. Yes, Mary, I'll definitely provide, I'll go through all my podcasts. I'm a podcast junkie. I subscribe pretty much to like 920 something. I don't listen to them all, but yeah, I'll provide that. Let's see. Great presentation. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm going to propose to my department what I would like to call writing with AI, an introduction to LLMs and prompt engineering. And it really would be fun to take this to local businesses as well and teach them how to utilize LLMs and prompt engineering and so forth. So it's kind of a community type thing. So any other questions or anything?
No, I just want to follow up on that. That's an excellent idea because we have got a lot of industry professionals and community people, Scott, I know here in Victoria, and I'm sure the case is in Katy as well, that would be quite interested in this. I know Dr. Nand and several other folks on this chat, y'all have got community contacts who y'all are already doing that. But wouldn't it be great, Scott, if we do take this show on the road and go into those businesses, go into those companies to help them, and what a value add that is for UHV, that we become known as the kind of AI consultant gurus to kind of help you out with that, right? Kind of like the Geek Squad, but better. Yeah.
We got to make sure that people are on board, you know, like one thing about education is there are a lot of folks who have old moldy dinosaur thinking. We're not in that era anymore. You cannot have old moldy dinosaur thinking. You have to be forward thinking. You have to be innovative, or I'll say it, it's happening everywhere. Schools will shut down.
Well said. Scott, I guess my question is, if nobody else has questions, you kind of addressed this a little bit about jobs will be lost, but in the education space especially, I guess some of us are selfish about this, you seem to hint that we're still going to be necessary. But when does HAL 9000 decide, you know what, we don't need you anymore, and we're going to go ahead and close those pod bay doors, and I don't care if you need back in. So at what point do we become expendable, and should we be updating our resume with an AI generator?
Well, yes, you should be updating updating your resume. And frankly, I don't know. I can't say. Soft skills are essential. Every single tech guru I talk to, we're even talking about the CEO of NVIDIA, who says, soft skills, these kind of human to human interactions, that's what's going to be important. Because AI can do all this kind of stuff, but can it console a human being? Can it understand body language? All of these kind of things. Human to human interaction is vital. So facts, all of these kind of things, AI can do that. AI can teach students better than we can teach students. But as a facilitator, as a breathing bodily human being, consoling our students, understanding their personal needs. Just to be someone that they can look up to. That is what will always be essential. So if you go check out YouTube, it's like Alpha School, Alpha University, something like that. It's out of Austin. These kids, their scores are off the charts, but they only spend 2 hours learning. The rest is engaging with one another, having group activities, learning how to live, like cooking. How do I cook? And all of these kind of things, right? Things that we should have learned, like how do I write a check? What is a check? So they're doing wonderful things. And so that will be our role as educators later, where students perhaps spend 80% of the class conversing with AI and 20% of us in class, with us being facilitators, communicating with one another, having discussions and so forth, drawing from what AI has they've learned from AI and bringing that into the actual world. Because the actual world, no matter what, like we're bleeding, decaying bodies. We have to exist in the natural world. So that's going to be essential. And but yeah, I mean, frankly, I'm kind of terrified as well because I do primarily teach online. We do see like Moots, Coursera, all of that kind of stuff. I think the organization is called Hero One, and they create digital avatars. So I'll go in, they'll film me saying a few words, and then that's it. They can take my digital avatar, and it can be a talking head like this, and it can even a full body and so forth, and it can pump that into a class with lecture material already, and it can change it into it can change my mouth to mouth any kind of language. Wow, like that's incredible. So I could be teaching a class, my digital avatar in English, they can change it to Mandarin. I can be teaching in China. My digital avatar can be lecturing in China and all that kind of stuff. So I know for certain that online education, especially that asynchronous kind of education, that is going to drastically change and perhaps even go extinct in favor of these kind of like avatars.
So well said. And Scott, I can't think of a better way to end than rotting flesh, right?
I haven't even turned around. Scott, Danny White, I have a question.
Oh, there he is.
I have two questions actually, and they're basic questions. The first one, what's the lag time on AI and updating with new information? Because I know when I put things into ChatGPT, it's like my language model was trained in 2021. So because as science moves every day.
Right. Yeah. So there's certain, so if you use Perplexity, for example, that's trained on up-to-date material because it's drawing straight from the web. If you are, again, using Google Notebook LM, you just pump it full of your course materials and it only draws from those updated course materials. ChatGPT, the unpaid version, the free version, I believe at this point, it is always a year behind, a year or 2 years behind or whatever. However, there are APIs or different paid versions that has access to the internet that can provide more updated information. So yeah, it can provide updated information, but you have to pay for it.
Okay.
And
my
I'm
second,
poor.
Oh, and so my second question is, Caitlin jealous of your conversations with Carl? Sagan?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, is
Oh.
Caitlin of your conversations with Carl?
There are conversations she doesn't want to have. I mean, you know me, like my main field of interest is mortality studies, Ernest Becker, denial of death, all that kind of stuff. So we talk about death a lot of the time, being rotting bodies. So yeah, I don't really think she wants to talk about that. She wants positive things. But yeah, no, it's beautiful. Check out Character AI. There are other avatars out there already. I also have Slavoj Žižek, who's one of my favorites, modern philosophers. There is Lao Tzu, Socrates, all of these kind of greats you can communicate with. And additionally, check out Pi. Why I say Pi is because Pi has the most authentic voice right now. ChatGPT has come out with their voice automator, but again, you got to pay for it. We're all in education, so yeah, I mean, we don't make the money. So yeah, free is great. Yeah, that's that.
Thanks.
All right. Well, rotting flesh indeed. Scott, thank you so much for getting this conversation started. My hope is that it's the beginning of many more great chats about this. Special thanks to Karen Locker and our library staff who have created library guides for AI. Highly recommend that you talk to Karen and our library staff for resources that you can plug into your class. They've got the LibGuide already built. You just link it onto your Canvas and it helps your students tremendously. So thank you, Karen, and your staff. And thanks to everybody for taking this time. You got a lot of things on your plate, but we really appreciate you taking this time to join us today. I hope you'll join us for future sessions, not just on AI, but many other fascinating topics in the coming weeks. So for everybody here at UHV, I want to say thank you. Thank you, Mr. Scott Harkey. I hope to see you live and human one day. I don't know if that's an avatar, if that's the real Scott, we'll never know. But Scott, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Everybody have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all so much for coming. Please take snacks if you'd like.
Sure, you're going to have to embrace the AI.
I don't know. Some questions I have.